is you have two inbred characteristics, guilt and opinions. I can only compare dealing with a room full of Jews to a colonoscopy, but this time it is without anesthesia. If you have two Jews in the room discussing any topic, you automatically get 3 opinions. But then if they're at the board, it's about 30 opinions. There's the old joke about 2 Jews stranded on a deserted island who built 3 shuls. One for each of them, and one that neither would attend, but at least they could agree on something. Seriously, I really did enjoy my time as president of Temple Israel. I am sure that so many of you received wonderful, wonderful notes from Rabbi Wall over the 40-plus years that he was here at Temple Israel. Well, throughout the years, I received many of those notes as well. So just after I became the president, I get home and on the mail pile is a note with Rabbi Amiel Wall's name on the send from. And so I'm very excited. I'm getting another note from Rabbi Wall. I open up the envelope, one word. You? That was you for those people in the back that didn't hear me. Also, how many times would people come to me with ideas that they thought were the best ideas for Temple Israel? A basketball court in Rosen Hall, a basketball court outside, a pool and a spa in the basement. Wait, that was only Mitch Abrams' ideas. One of the best was when one of our more senior congregants asked that I put in a nap room. I immediately said, that's what the sanctuary is for during the rabbi's sermons. I might have nodded off once or twice from the bema too, but hopefully nobody caught me. So now you may want to know how growing up here at Temple Israel shaped who I was to become the president here. So there's a couple of things. One, maybe getting caught cutting class up by the hutch, smoking pot. Having my first screwdriver at Jeff Seibert's bar mitzvah in the old youth lounge. I may or may not have fooled around with someone in the assistant rabbi's study. And her parents may or may not be in the audience this evening. Thank you so much. You've been a great audience, and I hope you enjoyed the colonoscopy.
Lloyd Robinson! Great job, Lloyd. Well, moving right along right now, we have a very, very, very funny woman to bring up, making her comedy debut, Liz Hartzman.
Oh, I love it up here. It's so bright I can't see anybody. It's great. It's like I'm talking to an empty room. I can just pretend. Thanks to Lloyd Robinson. He was great. Unlike him, I did not grow up in New Rochelle. I grew up in the South. But I wanted to start off by thanking my husband, Mark. He's great support. We all have really supportive, great spouses, and let me tell you, Mark's no exception to that. But I said, he's a writer. He writes professionally. That's what he does for a living. I said, Mark, will you please help me write some jokes? And he said, no. I said, that's up to you. It's your thing. I'm going to write jokes for you. So, I grew up in the South, in Atlanta. And anybody here from the South? Woo! Okay. Any Southern Baptists out there? Yeah, I grew up in the South, Southern Baptist. And so when I started dating Mark, after our first date, I found out later that he called his mom and said, hey, I met this girl, told her all about me. And her first question was, one day, when is she gonna convert? Yep, that's it. That just kind of set up our relationship. But luckily, 3 years later, and hundreds of hours of Jewish study with 3 different rabbis, I went to the mikvah. Anybody know what a mikvah is? Bob, if you know what a mikvah is. Okay. That's not everybody, so I'm going to explain to you what it is. Okay. It's like, if you're not Jewish, it's like being baptized, okay? So what I did was I went to the mikvah place on the Upper West Side, and then I went with a male rabbi who I studied with, and then female. And this was a nice mother-in-law approved conservative conversion. So I went down in the mikvah. The female rabbi went in the room with me and made sure I did everything right, came out, and I was Jewish. It was great. It was really nice. But I didn't know this at the time, but a month later, the woman rabbi dropped out of the seminary because she became a lesbian. It's true story, true story, true story. Okay, so, my family, when my family gets together with Mark's family, it's very different, My mom's in the kitchen. She's a typical Southern woman. She is, when we were preparing for our children to arrive, she's scrubbing up and down the kitchen cabinets. She just does that. And she's like, Lisbeth, that's how she talks. Lisbeth, you don't keep this house clean enough. You have babies coming, and we got, you just really need to keep this house cleaner. So, I roll my eyes. I walk in the other room, and there's my mother-in-law. She's sitting on the couch, filing her nails and making reservations. There's a big difference there. And, I'm a Jew by choice, which is great. And a lot of my friends like to say that I traded in the KKK for the UJA, or like I like to say, I traded in my DAR card for my New York driver's license. And I didn't, when I was growing up, I didn't know that the Yankees were a baseball team. I just always heard, damn Yankees. And, I thought, yeah, the Yankees are people who live the north of the Mason-Dixon line. And, another thing I don't, something that I don't like about living up here is it's spring and I'm freezing my tail off. And that is very difficult to get used to, even though I've been here for about 25 years. Another thing is anybody on a diet here? Anybody? No? Nobody? Nobody's on a diet. Okay, well, okay. Good. Okay, yeah, 2 people over there. All right. Because I feel like I'm always on a diet. When we were talking about what we're going to wear to this thing, everybody said, oh, I'm going to wear jeans, and it's like, okay, that's cool. Well, what happened was I couldn't fit into my jeans, and so I have to wear a dress. That was the thing, I went out last night and I had this big dessert, and I just couldn't fit them on. And I have a theory about that. When you get to 40, everything just falls, and it takes so much longer to, for everything to, get into your clothing. There's $1 billion industry with Spanx. I mean, someone made a ton of money off of that. So, anyways, and that's all I have. Thanks so much.
Liz Hartzman! Great job, Liz. As Liz mentioned, her husband Mark's well, he met, but he's at Ogilvy, and I was an advertisement before well, sort of. How many remember Abraham and Strauss going back? I was was a copywriter for A&S and for Macy's. I don't want to brag, but sale, $9.99, I wrote that. And here I am today. It's incredible. By the way, I just want to say too, I love the South, the South, and Liz is a great representative of the South. I was in Charlotte a couple weeks ago. I did a show at a mosque, actually, it's true. And I think interfaith stuff is so important. I'm glad to see Temple Israel has an interfaith event at the Greek Orthodox Church next week. It's very important. I performed at a mosque in Charlotte, and I know enough. And how many of you have been to a mosque? Mosques and parties and scars have a lot in common. You have to take your shoes off, And I respect the ritual, and I knew it going in. I'm going to the mosque, and please take your shoes off. And of course, I was glad I was wearing my good socks that day. And I was embarrassed because the other comedian with me didn't get it. So when they said, please take your shoes off, he said, I'm TSA pre. Anyway, right now, great deal of pleasure to welcome you, making his comedy debut. Let's have a warm welcome for Mitch Benson.
I'm not going to tell any jokes until I know exactly who I'm talking to. And I'm not exactly clear on this, so by applause, please, by applause, are there any Jews here tonight? Yeah, well, you don't look Jewish, so I got to give you a test. I'm going to do the rest of this in Hebrew. And we're going to separate the good Jews who understand my jokes from the bad Jews who don't. The rabbis are going to thank me later. Now, thank God for the non-Jews who are here, because they'll go along with anything. Honey, I have no clue what he's talking about, but just laugh so they don't accuse us of being anti-Semitic. Now, personally, I'm a good Jew. I'm very observant. I follow all the rules and the commandments except one. And that one rule is the reason that I joined Temple Israel. They don't make you wear a yarmulke. Now, some of you may not have noticed, but I'm bald. And I can tell you that whoever came up with the yarmulke didn't give a damn about the fashion sense of bald men. But my wife cares. She saw me in a yarmulke once, and it traumatized her. She said, "You're never wearing one again." And the reason is, it wasn't one of those sleek, modern, custom-made, adhere to the contours of the head so you don't notice it. It was the old school. That ill-fitting, puffy, black, made out of that nylon umbrella material with the button on top. It was the kind they sold in the birth control section of the Judaica store. Which is why I'm pretty sure there's been like a 5-year age gap between two of our kids. So, the Temple Israel yarmulke option rule was the spiritual answer I've been searching for. But other than that, I am a good Jew. I follow the rest of the rules. Maybe it's some shellfish, but that's another story. Now, are there any other good Jews here tonight? Paul Warhead is here. That is a serious Jew. I had no idea he was funny, When I saw his name on the program, I assumed he was here to lead us in a minyan. When Paul Warhead gets on the stage, that's your cue to rise for the mourner's cottage. Lloyd Robinson is here. Clearly not a great Jew, but he's okay. On the spectrum, Lloyd fits somewhere between Elie Wiesel, who is the moral conscience of our people, and Al Goldstein, who was the publisher of Screw Magazine. Let me walk that back a bit. Somebody told me Al Goldstein was a publisher of School Magazine. That is not something I would have known on my own. But Lloyd told me, thank you, Lloyd. I don't want to cast aspersions on Lloyd. Lloyd is a friend, you know, and I am open about that. I own that, you know. Like, some people deny these things, but yes, I voted for Elliot Spitzer, I voted for Anthony Weiner, and I voted for Lloyd for Temple president. Not proud of any of that, but I'm going to stick to it. I think you know that honesty is important to me, so there are a couple personal facts I want to share with you. The first is that I'm a member of a minority group. I'm a Republican in Temple, Israel. The second thing is that as of about 5 seconds ago, I have no more friends here. I don't care about that because I have the support of a devoted wife. I'd ask her to stand and be recognized, but at the moment she happens to be hiding in the ladies' room, which is her unique way of expressing support for her Republican husband. I was kidding, of course, when I said I don't have any friends left at Temple Israel. The truth is I never had any friends. Which is a problem because I like sports, but I don't have anybody to watch them with. But I found this website that hooks you up with people to go to basketball games. It's called Ashley Madison Square Garden. At least that's how I explain it to my wife. So far, she's good with it, right? The truth is that my wife and I do have a great relationship. That was a joke. We are partners in every way. In fact, we own a business together. We own a frozen yogurt franchise called Red Mango on Palmer Avenue in Larchmont. And every Tuesday we have these specials from 10 in the morning till 10 at night. There's no punchline there, but just, you know. I'm not getting paid to be here. In fact, I had to pay this guy for this class. But thank you, Scott, it was good. So when I complained to Jackie, she said, put in a plug for your damn yogurt. Another thing you should know about me is I recently became involved in politics. I quit my job and ran for district attorney. How did that turn out, you ask? Excellent. I'm now unemployed, but it prepared me for what has now become a daily battle with our babysitter for control of the television remote. And there are a lot of politics involved in it. I do my strategizing at my headquarters, which my wife calls our bedroom. The babysitter's headquarters consist of the rest of the house, so the early polls look like she's winning. No, we have a babysitter, but I'm a good father. I've got 2 or 3 kids. My wife can give you their names and ages. But when my wife's not around, and the babysitter's not around, and the other babysitter's not around, I take care of those kids. You know? I give them food and everything, you know. I mean, today, maybe they went a little hungry because I was getting ready for this thing, but nothing that Cheetos and Pepsi won't cure later on. But the reason I'm a good father is that I'm not the traditional tough guy dad. You know, I've never been the manly, macho type, you know. In fact, there was a problem when I was working as a prosecutor. I would never admit this to these guys, but I work with a lot of detectives who are tough guys, you know. So I just had to be a little deceptive. They'd go out for coffee. I go, Mitch, you want anything? Now, you should know that my tastes in coffee are roughly the same as a 12-year-old girl's, right? So I would say, yeah, give me a large black. Pick up a medium blueberry with whipped cream and lots of sugar for Pam. They're like, who's Pam? We've never seen her. She's the new paralegal, right? They're detectives, but they didn't figure out I had a new paralegal. But because I always wanted to be manly, I found my chance. About 30 years ago, I enlisted in the Wisconsin National Guard, right? Now, real military veterans never talk about their service. I brag about those weekends in the woods outside of Madison every chance I get. And I had a chance, it turns out, last month we're in Florida. Another fact about myself, I suffer from an affliction known as gout. Now it comes from eating certain foods. For me, too much shellfish causes big pain in my big toe, right? So I'm in Florida and I get a gout attack and I have to find a doctor. The good news is that he specializes in treating military veterans. So I get to the waiting room and I see a couple guys talking and I go, this is my chance to get in with these guys, and I'm trying to fit in. It was going pretty good until the subject turned to the way we sustain the injuries that cause us to be at the doctor and we still need to get this medical treatment. So one guy says, 1968, Vietnam, shrapnel from a mortar wound, from a mortar round, they gave me a Purple Heart. The next guy says, 2006, Afghanistan, sniper fire, they gave me a Bronze Star. They turned to me and I had to say, Saturday night, Red Lobster, the all-you-can-eat crab special. But they gave me the Admiral's plate. Thank you very much.
Expensive! Very funny. I think he is a tough guy, though. I don't know. Very funny. Mitch Benson once again. Very funny. All right, well, right now, another very, very funny performer making her comedy debut. Let's hear it for Lori Dubner.
Scott stole my show, so I had to come up with a few things in between. Can you hear me in the back? Yeah. So I do want to thank, Liz was very worried about her diet. I found success in the Jackie, Sarah, Lauren Peckett's diet, which is when they twist your arm long enough, hard enough, and you agree to do this night, it's 10 pounds guaranteed. So you can only imagine what I looked like before. I also want to take this moment to thank my college-age daughter, Wendy, who I had a deep, very deep conversation with this morning, those conversations. And she said, Mom, you're gonna knock it out of the park. Remember what you told me years ago? Yeah, sure. She said, look into the room and make believe that everyone is naked. I'm sorry to tell you this, folks. It's not happening. So, I know when you look at me, it is very hard to think that this redhead, this ginger, and so on can possibly be Jewish. It was a good cover-up at times, but then I found out that the Jewish card is what really works for me. So you need to know I'm really a yeshiva bacha out of Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn in their house. My moniker at home is 1-800-SUPER-JEW. If you call that number, you will get me, and I will answer all your questions anywhere from Shiva, mitzvahs, anything you need to know. So keep that number with you. It works, right, Jay? We know that. So since most people don't know that I'm Jewish, it's really kind of great fun. I was leaving a house the other day, and I asked the family what they were doing for Pesach. And the babysitter looked at me and she goes, wow, that was really good. I said, what was really good? She said, the I said, why? Because I said Pesach? She said, yeah, for an Irish girl, that sounds like I said, okay, well, yeah, but I'm the Jewish one. So it worked for me on Martha's Vineyard when I met up with some guys and friends and we were in college, high school, I think. And just now we're about to go on this boat ride, the guy said, my mother will freak that I'm bringing an Irish girl onto this boat. I said, lucky day, guy. Jew in the rouse. So it works. It works when you go to the Blarney Stone, and no one else is willing to call their parents when they end up in Suffolk, New York, 30 miles out of the area. But I can, because I can call my parents, and they say, "Oy, you must have been so tired that you fell asleep. Of course we'll come and pick you and your friends up. It's not a problem, Mama." It works. It works. It works. So we're going to go fast forward now, folks. We're going to college. Spring break. I went to Fort Lauderdale. Anybody else go to Fort Lauderdale? My daughter last week or 2 weeks ago went to Iceland. You do the math. So I go to Fort Lauderdale, stay at Debbie's house. Her father had a Woody. Get it out of your heads. I'm talking about the Ford. And just a group of us would go. Great fun, 6, 8 of us. You remember those days, drive all around, hang out by the button on the surf. A lot of you went to Fort Lauderdale. I heard those little bluffs. Well, one night I was the one who had to get the Woody out of the parking lot or for the valet service. And right behind me was that typical conversation that you don't want to touch, but you're going to end up in it somehow or another. So it's Selma, okay, and Seymour. Okay? I knew he was Seymour. I didn't know she was Selma, but I just gave her that name. And right behind me, she's talking about, it's unbelievable, all these kids coming down all the time. We don't get to go anywhere anymore, but they're so rich, they think they can do anything. And she's going on, I don't hear a word out of this guy. Not a word. Next thing I know, I'm getting this. Can I ask you something, honey? Yes, ma'am. Where are you from? New York. How did you get down here? I used to work over my Christmas vacation, and I'm staying at a friend's house, and so on. And she's going at me. She needs more answered. Nothing out of Seymour at this point. And she finally says, I can't believe that you can work for 2 weeks and get enough money to come down and spend time here in Fort Lauderdale. And I finally turned around, and I said, Dad, you'll be so proud of me. I said, I can do this because I run the whorehouse that Seymour goes to visit every night. True story. Fast forward a little bit more. You know, we have a little Jamaica, we have a little hedonism, some Club Med in between. Right? Okay, come on, I'm not the only one, I know it. Along comes the husband, the child, yeah, in that order. The dog, the job, the work, the cleaning, the carpools. All right, I'm not giving you any information that any of you don't know. And it's all fine, it's good. I'm part of the New Rochelle crowd. And this November will be 25 years of marriage. How did we get there? It's not the child, it's not the dog, it's the love, it's the listening, it's the reciprocity, it's the communication, it's the sense of humor. It's when you're coming up the stairs with loads of laundry. I don't have to tell you much. You say, honey, can you give me a hand? And this is what you get. Yeah? It's your 50th birthday, and you're on a flight to St. Martin, and your husband gets an upgrade to first class, and he gives it to the 14-year-old kid. Because he wants to spend your 50th birthday with you in steerage. But like I said, I have to take it on me too, is the listening. It's when you get the car and your husband says, now remember, when you get to the gas station, the middle gas. Got it? Yes, honey. The middle. Yes, honey, the middle. Okay, I'm going. I get to the gas station. I pull up to the middle island. Okay, man, you know where this is going. Ladies, you don't have this yet, right? Let me go a little slower on this. Middle island. Diesel fuel. And the man refuses, really. No. Yes. My husband said, and I listened to my husband. I want that gas, the middle gas. Guess who never got the car out of the gas station? So, yeah, you guys are on it faster than me. Okay, why is my marriage here? Why are we going to make it to 25 in November? Travel. The world. Lots of nice places. Without me. He's traveling. I'm home. Okay? Beginning travels. We make plans. I know where he's going. We're going to rendezvous. Maybe I'll bring the kid like to Disney. We'll have a couple days over there. It's detailed. It's fun. It's great. I'm going to miss you. I don't sleep well when you're not in the house. Fast forward a little bit. Okay, honey. I'll get the kid to the airport. You take her. Yeah, we'll have a date night at LaGuardia. And sure, if you can make it home for a night, that would just be great. One night, it would really especially make her happy. They'll give me a break. Fast forward. We still got travel going on over here, folks. The itinerary's in Dropbox. If you open your Dropbox, you'll see it over there. And guess what, honey? Don't bother coming home for a night. It really disrupts everything. Remember Hurricane Sandy? Anybody here for Hurricane Sandy? Okay, Hurricane Sandy. I'm a planner. I filled up 3 cars with gas, water, extra food, money, because my girlfriend in Florida said, make sure, could lose power, you won't have cash. 12 teenagers, female teenagers, come to live with me, because their homes were without power. I've got 12. All the food in the world can't feed 12 Mean-age girls after about 2 days. I find a pizzeria open. I head out 1 mile. It takes me over 2 hours. Do you think that anybody went looking for me? I had almost a week of this. We talk. I think he was in Australia, Singapore, I don't know. And I tell him what's going on. And he says to me, I'm really so sorry. This sounds terrible, but let me just tell you. I've been out like with 5 of my teachers, and we're at this like famous lobster shack. I think it was Melbourne or something. They ran out of lobster. Now we're up to how many more days until you leave again? And those air miles are not mine until you leave them in the will. They need to be bequeathed. Otherwise, I will lose them or have to pay for them. So in 2 weeks, we have an appointment with the lawyer. Thank you, everybody.
Lori Governor! Lori Governor, wow. Lori Governor, well, that's wonderful. And Lori's headlined the St. Patrick's Day show also over at Garth Road Inn, and it was excellent. Let's hear for Lori. Fantastic job, Lori. Lori's husband could not be here tonight, but he's... That's wonderful. Well, I love how everyone's lined up like that. Let's give everybody a hand so far who's been incredible. And, I have to say, too, what a beautiful shul. I mean, this room is incredible. I mean, and this is, I wish my comedy debut was this nice. I mean, I've been doing comedy 30 years. I'm the only one who you don't know on the show, which is nice. This is their first time, they already have a poster. It took me like 9 years. So anyway, and this is a gorgeous place. I performed, like I said, I was at a JCC in West Hartford last week, and in the middle of the show, sure, the sound went out, the lights went out, simultaneously 900 Jews yelled out, "Call somebody!" Years later, someone came by, it was nice. And, I guess this is like the official Havdalah mic. I guess it's only used for the Cantor and Havdalah. Either that or it's from the old Match Game with Gene Rayburn, if you remember that. Very dated reference, but I'm glad some people got it. So, anyway, well, I can't think of a better way to close the show. And of course, we have lovely dessert. The show never ends. But with someone who you all know, and he's very, very funny. Let's have one welcome for Paul Warren.
Everybody, I am excited to be here. I'm excited about my life. You should know that my beautiful wife, Alyssa, and I have been together for 30 years. We met in '87, married in '88, and as newlyweds, we were crazy about each other. And you know how newlyweds can be. You know, they just love each other's quirky habits. Like a newly married couple watching TV on the couch, and the guy lets out a big belch. 10 minutes later, they're making passionate love on the couch. I mean, and for a guy, that's a win-win. Because you get the belch, and you get to have sex. 30 years later, those quirky habits are not quite as endearing. Same scenario, watching TV on the couch, the guy lets out a belch, and the wife looks at him and says, "That's disgusting. It used to turn you on, baby." And well, now it's disgusting, and she leaves the room. Now for a guy, that's still a win-win. Because you get to belch, and you get to hold the remote. How much fucking Yes to the Dress can I watch? Holy moly. But Alyssa and I, we have a good marriage. What I will tell you about Alyssa and me, we really have, neither one of us has accomplished very much in our lives. We get our credibility from our kids. For example, our son Josh in 2012 joined the Israeli Defense Force, the IDF, the uniform, got the rifle, got the beret. I mean, it was the real deal. What was weird is that Josh joined the IDF and I became a hero. I'd walk into a room, people would rise. And one guy would say, "Well, I understand that his son's in the IDF. Some people would salute. I remember one time I'm driving down North Avenue for a coffee run, and I passed a school bus with the lights flashing. I must have been going around 50, and a cop pulls me over with the lights going on. He's hot and heavy. You know, you passed a school bus there, license and registration. I give him the license. He sees who I am. Paul, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you. Your son's a hero, if I had only known. Next thing I know, I'm getting a police escort to Dunkin' Donuts. Now that's me, but Alyssa, she gets her credibility from our daughter, Allison. Allie is getting ready to graduate from Harvard Law School in May. That's right. And we are very, very proud. But when Allison announced that she got into Harvard, Alyssa took that pride to a whole new level. Like we're at a party, and we're talking to people. Eventually the conversation goes around to the kids, and somebody will ask her, what's Allie doing after college? And I'm saying, holy shit, here it comes. Oh, Allie's going to law school in September. And, law school. You know, law school, practicing law is not what it used to be. Very competitive. Not all the students are getting jobs when they get out of school. Where is she going to school? And I'm like walking away at this point. She's going to Harvard. Oh, Harvard. And Alyssa, in her head, she's doing the Harvard Happy Days. But no, what you don't understand, the dance that she's doing is not in her head. She is literally dancing. Everybody's looking at her. I'm going, I'm out of there. In our family, we call that Alyssa dropping the H-bomb. She's going nuclear. You know, Alyssa and I react differently because I think men and women in general are different. I think that's something we can all agree on. Like men, we want to be left alone. We want to sit on the couch with a cold drink, watching sports in our sweatpants, scratching ourselves whenever we go. We don't want to be bothered, and we definitely don't want to have long conversations. Like, when a guy comes home from work, the wife might ask, hi, honey, how was your day? It's good. It was a good day. Off he goes. If a guy is stupid enough to ever ask his wife how her day was, he's going to get the whole shebang. Oh, work's a bear. They're really laying on projects. And in the middle of it all, my mother calls, get me on the phone for 20 minutes, and then your mother called. She doesn't respect me, and I don't like the way she speaks to me. And then I picked up the kids on the way home. The school bus cut us off. I almost went into a median. We were almost killed. Was it my fault? Was it his fault? Were we almost killed? I'm standing there like, I'm trying to keep my shit together. I just want to put a bullet through my head. Right after I put a bullet through her head. But I don't. Because I'm expecting something that night. I'm expecting something, fellas. Dinner. I want to get fed. I don't always get it, but I'm hoping. I gotta tell you, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. I had an interesting childhood, and I think that's where it all stems from. Very interesting childhood. Growing up, my mother would tell me, Paul, you are wonderful. You're a beautiful person. You're loving. You're caring. You're kind. Everybody loves you. And that made me feel good. Until I got married and I found out I'm actually a son of a bitch and everyone else thinks so too. Oh no, my mother was lying to me all these years. My mother was a character. She had me late in life. I was what you call a cruise baby. What that means is I was a mistake. My parents were on a cruise and there was a hole in my mother's diaphragm. And voila. I know this because my mother told me. Sure. I was 6 years old, she put me on her knee, told me all about it. Not only that, she told everybody. We'd be at the supermarket with the checkout lady. Ah, I had a hole in my diaphragm. But I don't want you to think I wasn't loved, because I was loved. I mean, my mother, by the time she had me, she had checked out as far as parenting, but I was still loved. I mean, my parents would take me on vacation. Remember, I had a 12-year-old sister, a 10-year-old sister, another one, a 6-year-old brother, and then me, diaphragm boy. But regardless, they still loved me. They would take me on vacations. I remember they took me to Disney World, but my Disney experience was not like other kids. Like, sometimes when the mom takes the kid, she puts him in a bright neon shirt so she won't lose track of him. Me, I was in a camouflage shirt. My mother would give me 20 bucks. She said, I'll see you Never Neverland, kid. And my mother-in-law, she's no superstar either. My mother-in-law, she thinks she's the smartest person. She comes to the house, we call her the chief. She comes to the house, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, this is how you do this, I'm smart. The smartest woman in the world, she bugs the hell out of me. For example, I was called for jury duty a couple of months ago. Nothing I really wanted to do, but I got called and I couldn't get out of it again. And you're there all day, and finally the judge has about 30 of us left. To narrow it down to 12, he asks each of us, do you have any experience with an expert witness that would preclude you from being an impartial jury on this case? And before I knew it, I said, well, my mother-in-law's a fucking expert on everything. I got a 100-hour fine, but I had a jury duty. My wife, she's a minimalist. She hates clutter.